The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Dr. Sarah Chun approached the central podium, her footsteps echoing in the vast crystalline dome. Around her, representatives from 43 species sat in tiered galleries, their various forms of laughter, chittering, harmonizing, electromagnetic buzzing, dying away as she began to speak. Veltar, Nesh Korvani Dalthek More Done, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic enhancement field. The reaction was immediate. The Velthari delegation, proud descendants of the galaxy's first spacefaring civilization, went completely rigid. Their ambassador, a tall being with crystalline features, stood so abruptly that his chair toppled backward. That is impossible, he stammered in Standard Galactic. The old tongue died out 5,000 cycles ago. No living being speaks the first language. Dr. Chin smiled and continued. Mordun kiss veltorin net kvin dalmur vesiktrone korvani. The ancient words flowed from her lips like a river breaking through a dam. The Velthari ambassador's luminous eyes widened. She had just recited the opening lines of their most sacred text, the Foundation Codex that their own scholars spent decades trying to decipher fragments of. How? The question came from the Zephyrian delegate, whose gaseous form shimmered with confusion. Your species has been in space for barely 2 centuries. The Velthari language evolved beyond recognition millennia before your son was born. Dr. Chun activated her holographic display, showing images of vast underground chambers filled with data storage crystals, ancient star maps, and libraries carved into asteroid cores. We found them, she said simply. The archive worlds. The hidden repositories your ancestors created before their civilization fragmented. While you've spent thousands of years evolving, advancing, becoming something new, we've spent our... She paused, looking around at the assembled delegates who had been mocking humanity's inclusion in the council just moments before. We learned to listen to the dead. The Corvin representative, resembling a massive insectoid, clicked disapprovingly. Ancient history is irrelevant. We've transcended our primitive origins. Why cling to dead languages when we have perfect translation protocols? Dr. Chin's expression grew serious. Tekmur dal vesik korvanin netun veltar. She spoke in what the translation protocols identified as classical Corvin, but the Corvin delegate's mandibles began to tremble. The oath of the Hive founders, he whispered. How do you know the sacred bindings? Because Dr. Chan replied, while you've been discarding your past as primitive, we've been collecting it. Every dead language, every lost dialect, every abandoned writing system. We found your ancestors' warnings, their wisdom, their mistakes. She gestured, and the display showed a star chart with ominous red markers spreading across several sectors. The Devourers are returning. The entity your ancestors called the Vashtai Mordan, the Silence of Stars. We found their records in 17 different dead languages across 40 systems. They try to warn you. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species after species began demanding how she could possibly know their ancestral tongues, their lost prophecies, their buried histories. The eternal cycle warns of this, Dr. Chun continued, switching fluidly between dead languages that made each delegation's translators spark and fail. Your ancestors knew. They left instructions, contingencies, solutions. But you can't read them anymore. The Velthari ambassador approached the podium with something approaching reverence. What do the founders say we must do? Dr. Chin looked around at the assembled aliens who had dismissed humanity as primitive newcomers, now hanging on every word of languages they'd forgotten. They say the youngest species must lead the old ones home, that those who remember the past are the only ones who can guide the future. They say, she switched to a language so ancient that the translation protocols couldn't even identify it, that sometimes you need children to remind the adults who they used to be. The laughter had stopped. The galaxy was listening.